So before the depression set in, one of the first things I did was try to figure out why I got so sick during that pregnancy. Instead of feeling my feelings and grieving and starting that process, I was determined to figure out why I got preeclampsia. I made it my mission every day to figure out why I got sick. So in my video, entering my crazy phase, I mentioned that I had this hunger, this need for information, and I was able to suddenly read medical documents and research papers and stuff that most people, unless they're in the medical field, usually don't interact with that kind of information. This was when that started, and this was why that started. Whenever I'm doing any research, Spirit is always guiding me. So I'm doing random research, I'm going down what seems like a rabbit hole, but with Spirit, these are never rabbit holes, right? This is very intentional guidance. I eventually came across the very ancient story of Abyzou, or Abyzou. That's the Hebrew word for her name. She's a demon. She's also known as Gelo or Gilu or Yilu. And I did go and look up the story again, but I can't find the same version that I read, so I'm just gonna do this by memory. There was a woman who was having trouble breastfeeding. The baby was at risk of dying, and they determined that it was caused by Abyzou, the demon of childbirth and infants and pregnancy. And they tracked her down and they found her and they captured her and they started torturing her. And they're like, you need to tell us how to get her milk to flow again so that the baby lives. She said something along the lines of, you'll be able to save her if you know my 12 and a half names. Because of what I have learned about humanity, I'm aware that a lot of the folklore and the ancient stories that have been passed down are not actually just myths. These are written in very subtle ways to get knowledge across during a time when practicing medicine was illegal and considered heresy. So a lot of these stories, if you really look into it, they hold very important information about the human body, our health, how to heal people. And in the very ancient times, before the sciences was cracked down upon and it was considered a crime against God, basically, people knew a lot about healing. They knew more than we know now. A lot of that ancient wisdom has been lost. Anyway, I knew this already. So I'm like, okay, why is Spirit bringing this story to me? And the thing I kept hearing in my head was, healthy women, help the women. So I start breaking down her 12 and a half names that she lists. And when you really look into her 12 and a half names, it is literally a list of vitamins and other things that a woman needs to have a healthy pregnancy and to be able to breastfeed successfully. So I'm like, oh my God. During this time, midwives, which were very skilled doctors, we like to see them as weird witch doctors, but midwives knew exactly what they were doing. They knew about vitamins. They knew how the body worked. They were very advanced, and that was cracked down upon, and midwives weren't allowed to practice anymore. And so if you're going to pass this vital information onto the future of humanity so that we don't lose medical knowledge, you do it in a way that's extremely subtle so that the ones that are meant to have it will understand what is being said through these stories. And so her names are potassium, folate, B12, DHA, iodine, zinc, riboflavin, sunlight, so vitamin D, peace of mind, and also rest and relaxation, iron, and I think happiness was one of them as well. These words are very related, right? So if one of her names was peace, then you know that happiness, rest, relaxation, and sound mental health is going to be part of it. If a woman is pregnant or breastfeeding and she is lacking one or more of these things, there could potentially be an issue. And the issue was viewed as a demon. As I said in my last video, Losing My Daughter Part 2, when you do have a lack in the body or in the mind or in the energetic field, it does open up a space for entities to get into that hole and penetrate your defenses. So, I mean, there really is no difference between sickness and a demon. Yeah, they're kind of synonymous. Science and spirituality kind of lines up there with that one. In hindsight, 5 years later, I know that the stress of that relationship that I was in with her father was 100% a contributor to why I got sick. I am obligated to say that I am not a doctor. However, from the research that I have done, I believe that there is a direct link between preeclampsia and stress levels, particularly as it relates to the father of the child. The reason why I say that is because the latest information making its way into the medical field about preeclampsia is that it's a disease of the placenta. So the placenta is like an invasion, technically, of the mother's body, and the way it invades the uterus and the aggressiveness in which it embeds itself is determined by the father's DNA. The body, the woman's body, is technically negatively reacting to the father's DNA in her body. So as within, so without, as below, so above. If there is a physical rejection of the DNA, there is likely some sort of a rejection of this relationship in the mind, in the physical environment. There's likely an all-encompassing problem. It's not just genetics. We need to start taking a much wider look, a more holistic approach to medicine. That's what I've been learning. The more and more I delve into medical knowledge, is we focus so heavily on the material. What does the data say? What does the blood work send back? But there's an entire other realm that is not being addressed. Like, we're learning that the heart, electromagnetic field that the heart creates around the body, is its own brain. So you've got this brain, you got your heart brain, and then your gut is its own brain. It thinks independently. These three things communicate with your mind. We've got to take a wider look at health if we're going to help, if we're going to protect people, and if we're going to save them from kind of experiences that I had. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence when you talk to a lot of women who have had preeclampsia, and you really get into their personal life. There are extreme stressors in their home life. I mean, we're not blaming anything on anyone. However, you have to know why you're sick if you're going to fix it. Right? It's not about blame. This is about taking accountability and finding solutions. If there are any medical professionals watching this right now, I'm going to look at the screen. I'm doing this on my phone because I haven't gotten the cool technology yet, like the special cameras or whatever. I like to look at myself when I talk. I find it weird looking at a green light, so that's why I normally look to the side. In case y'all were wondering, this is where the audience is. But if there are any medical professionals watching my video right now, and you are involved in complications of pregnancy, that kind of medical field, I implore you to look into the stress-related contributions to preeclampsia. I think that a bigger impact would be addressing mental health concerns. This would need to be like in-home visits, therapists really speaking to these women about what their personal relationships are like. I don't really know what the best route would be, but if we could at least go down the road of addressing the potential mental health cause of hypertension in pregnancy, I think we could make a massive difference and save a lot of lives. So that's my pitch.